The times they are a-changin'. Hi, I'm Don Dwyer from Guardian Jet, and I want to talk about the aircraft markets today. Listen, everybody everywhere knows there's shortages on inventories, whether you're buying cars, boats, whatever. But planes, there's been a real shortage of inventory over the last 6 months. We've seen declining levels of inventory for a long time. As a matter of fact, there's only 6 weeks in the last 75 weeks that more inventory has entered the market than has left. But it happened last week, and it happened big. 47 new airplanes came onto the markets, what Guardian Jet calls their A markets. So out of the 130 markets that we measure, from the TBM that we fly to the world's largest business jets, out of those 130 markets, about 45 of those are A markets, the markets that we live in every day. The G550, the Challenger 350, the really popular models. And it doesn't matter what size, but it's what we consider A markets that have a lot of flow in them. So 47 new airplanes, a huge plus coming onto the market when not as near as many airplanes came off. We don't know how many came off yet because that takes a little longer to figure out. But when 47 came on in a week, we said that signals a sea change. So there's some other things that we watched that are that were sort of indicators. About a month ago, 5 weeks ago, we saw in the very large cabin, ultra long range airplanes, the Gulfstream G650s, they started filling up first before the smaller jets. We started seeing airplanes come to the market at a little higher rate than before. We love this because we have more choices for our customers. We've also seen I'd say a month ago, we were still in bidding wars on airplanes, whether we were buying or selling. And man, they're not fun, but you're just bidding on an airplane and it goes up and up and up. And of course, you worry about overpaying when you're bidding on airplanes. But we've seen that stabilize now. So I want to talk about pricing because people are always asking me, when's it going to come down? So listen, that's going to depend on the answer is going to depend a lot on your worldview. What's going on the planet? A lot of things going on the planet that could affect pricing. But from an airplane point of view, which is what we're good at here at Guardian Jet, here's what I'll tell you. The OEM backlogs are filling up. They're filling up this year. First of all, they had a lot of high net worth buyers buy new airplanes. As the price of good used airplanes got up and the inventory got really low, there's an unlimited supply of new airplanes, so the order books filled out. For the last couple of years, corporate America, this is too much of a generalization, but corporate America sort of sat on the sidelines, weren't really flying their airplanes that much, so they weren't replenishing their fleets. Well, that's changing now as big corporations are saying, okay, we know it's a couple year backlog on what we want, so let's get in the game and let's start ordering airplanes. So the order books of the OEMs are filling up. For the most part, the OEMs have not gotten too greedy. So new prices on new airplanes didn't escalate as much as what happened in the used market. So we love buying new airplanes, we love buying used airplanes. But we've seen this sort of settle down where there's a minimum of a year, sometimes 2-year backlogs on the more popular jets across all the OEMs, to the point where it gets hard once they get up to 2 years, it gets hard to sell an airplane, over 2-year backlog. So we think that's a very healthy thing for pricing in general. I don't see that causing any fall off in pricing. If anything, that keeps used prices up at a decent level for a while. You got to remember about used pricing that while they may have come up some, and in the more popular models come up 15-20%, that's from historically low levels that we've never seen before a couple years ago. Pre-2008, before the great financial crisis, airplanes lost their value at somewhere between 3 and 6% a year. The best residual value loss was 3%, the worst was 6%. After 2008, that was more like 8 to 11%. So we saw unprecedented dropping in price for a decade. But now we're seeing that stabilize and to some degree come up. That doesn't scare us. We don't see another 2009 where 30% of the value goes away like that, unless something out there in the world, the meteor, something happens that changes the environment. The one thing we know about COVID is that it did a couple things. It brought more people to private aviation than any other time in my 4-decade career. More people are using private aviation than ever before. I think that's sticky for the most part. There are some people that bought airplanes and the first time they get to an inspection and maybe they didn't have a reputable seller and the inspection's really expensive, they might sell that off and go back to however they were traveling before. But more people are chartering airplanes, flying on fractional, and buying new airplanes than ever before. We think that's sticky to some degree. The other big thing is COVID may have pushed people to that decision, but they spent the money because they had it, because the economy in the US was so good. So this economy pumping along with COVID, has created this massive influx of people to aviation like none I've seen in my history. I don't think they're all leaving. I don't think they're all going back to the airlines. So I really believe there's some stickiness there. So long-term pricing, prices, listen, airplanes are going to lose their value over time. We get that. Is it going to be precipitous in the next 3 to 6 months? We don't think so here at Guardian Jet. We think as long as the world stays about the same level of economy, which the big economists are still saying we have GDP growth, GNP growth, and a market that's going to end up higher than where it started in the beginning of the year, the experts that we're talking to. So, well, it depends on your worldview. I think from an airplane point of view, OEM backlogs are good. We still have way more buyers than sellers in the marketplace. We love that there's more choices, but I wouldn't expect that you'll be saving 20% anytime soon over what the current prices are at now. So if you want an airplane, is it more expensive than a year ago? Absolutely. Is it crazy expensive? We don't think so. So that's my take on the market. If you have any questions, please talk to your local guys. We'd love to talk about this at Guardian Jet. Please pick up the phone and call me if you have any questions.